Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us. We are delighted to host a special meeting today with Sagit Emet, whose book Gaia's Dawn is a part of our promotional program for children and youth literature this year. We aim to promote the publication of these books in multiple languages worldwide. I wish to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Department for Cultural Diplomacy, and the Israeli representative in Rome who assist us in our activity as part of the Bolonia Book Fair, which is taking place digitally these days. I wish to thank Yuval Gerber, who will be hosting the evening today, and I'm pleased to pass the microphone to her. Enjoy.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our talk with the author Sagit Emet about her book Gaia's Dawn. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Yuval. I'm 17. I go to a Waldorf high school. I like reading books, playing and listening to music. I am very excited about the opportunity to interview Sagit because her book Gaia's Dawn, to which I was first exposed to at the age of 13, is one of my favorite books. So, hello, Sagit. Good evening.
Hello and good evening.
Since there are guests here who might not know about the book, maybe you can tell us briefly what it's about?
Yes, I will. But first of all, I must confess, I'm not a native English speaker. So keep that in mind. And do not have any expectation for a perfect grammar. And now that we've said that, I can start. And the book is about Gaya, a 13 years old who is in love with Shachar, another 7th grader from her school. The story is about her life during the course of a year, the secret love, her relationship with friends and family, and her battle with cancer. The book has actually 2 layers, okay? One is the first love, her social life, and the routine of the treatments she's having. And the second layer, the one below the plot, there are deep questions Gaya deals with about meaning, about purpose, about love. And this, in short, is the whole story. The book cover, if you can read Hebrew, the book cover reveals that this is actually my own true story. It is based on my own true story. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the year when I dealt with the illness and the treatments, it was so meaningful and so profound for my life and for myself that I felt I should share this story, that it has to be told. Well, the book starts when Gaya comes to school for the first time with a wig on her balding head. In fact, a part of Anat, her best friend, nobody knows about her illness and about the treatments she's got. She's so reluctant receiving any notion of pity that she's planning to keep the illness a secret, but it doesn't really succeed. And Yuval, I think now it's the best moment. Maybe you could read for us, from the first chapter. Gaya is getting ready to go to school for the first time with a wig. Can you?
Yes, I would love to. Okay, I will be reading a part from the book. Mom was already at work by the time I woke up that morning, and Dad was making sandwiches for me in the kitchen. I brushed my teeth like it was any other day. Then I went to the bathroom to pee. Normally, I pee first and then brush my teeth later, which means that I might have gotten mixed up, being so nervous and everything. I started imagining all sorts of things that might happen today. I pictured the bullies from my class standing around me in a circle, laughing like crazy, and I had nowhere to run. I imagined Shachar leaning against the gym wall, just looking around. Then his eyes settled on me, his eyebrows scrunched up, like he wasn't sure if it was really me. But then when he realized that it was me, but that I looked different, very different, he turned around and left. For a split second, I thought about locking myself in the bathroom and saying that the lock had jammed. By the time they'd rescued me, it would have been too late to go to school. But that didn't make any sense, mostly because we didn't have a lock on our bathroom door. Hi God, it's me, Gaya from Ramat Gan. Sorry to bother you so early in the morning, and while I'm in the bathroom no less, which is something I'm really, really sorry about. I know it's pretty rude and all, but on a day like this, I was hoping you wouldn't mind. There's something I want to ask of you. If it isn't too much, please watch over me today. Make it all go well, and please, please don't let anyone laugh at me. Oh, and make Shachar Shin finally talk to me. And please have no one pay attention to my wig. Let them think I had a haircut. Yours truly, Gaya.
Wow. Thank you. Well, you're a perfect Gaya. A bit
you.
older, but perfect.
Thank you. I want to ask, from the moment the book was published, it has won important literary awards, received wonderful reviews in newspapers, one of which was Haaretz newspaper, Israel's most influential newspaper for culture geeks. Haaretz actually crowned it as one of the best 10 books of the decade. What do you think is the secret to its success?
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer that, but I'll try. This is always a mystery, you know. I'll tell you something. In Israel, there is this annual competition among school students called the book parade. Sorry, the book parade. The year Gaya came out, it was, I think, 1999. And it was voted second among middle school students. I was truly amazed to find out that my young book was chosen second. And not only that, it was chosen second just after Harry Potter, which came first and also came out the same year here in Israel. You know, just imagine, my Gaya was second after Harry. It was a shock. But what I'm really pleased about, that in this year's book parade, 2021, more than 20 years after that first parade, Gaya's Dawn is still among the top 5 most loved books here. So if you ask me what makes youngsters so intrigued by such a personal story, it would be difficult for me to explain, but I think it has to do with the honesty and directness that it holds. And maybe even to the fact that it doesn't try to educate, okay? It is not didactical in any way, but it holds inspiration. And it is not afraid to deal in a very private and very sincere way with big subjects like humanity, like meaning, faith, and love, of course. That's it.
Thank you. You said it was a personal story. How much does Gaya resemble you?
Okay. There are lots of common things in the story between me and Gaya. But as far as the fact, I allowed myself to change and to use them as I wished. It did not matter whether I got the facts right. What was more important for me was to be specific and accurate about Gaya's inner world, in her feelings and thoughts. It was important for me to avoid a sentimental notion or pathos that sometimes gets stuck to books that deal with such a topic. Gaya does not like to be pitied. She does not want to be treated as a saint or a hero. And in that manner, I was that child, a very sociable, a real bookworm, sincere, but also a bit tough. There are things in the book that I actually borrowed from my life. For example, the conversations with God. Gaya asks him all sorts of things. She gets angry at him. She makes peace with him. And I too. Back then, God was like my imaginary friend. I was talking to him all the time. Another thing, I think something of this special connection is found in the book, like other things I copied from reality, like the fact that Gaya wears a wig, exactly like I did, or even the way Gaya finds out that she's sick, very similar to what I experienced. But I have to say something really important. You know, I'm a writer, okay? This book is not an autobiography. Memories and imagination are combined. During the course of writing this book, I had to distance the story from me. And for this reason, Gaya is called Gaya, and she doesn't carry my name. For me, it's a story. It was very important for me to build tension and to find Gaya's genuine voice. So while it's me, it's also not me. Okay?
Yes, thank you very much. In addition to winning important awards, the book also appeared as a play on 2 really big theaters in Israel. Can you tell us about the transition of the book to the stage?
Oh yeah, sure. I remember to that day the phone call I got from the theater manager after she read in the paper about the book getting a prize or something, and she invited me for a meeting. Back then, I have to say, I was an actress, okay? Although I didn't want to play Gaya at all, and it was very clear from the beginning. I just wanted to adapt the story into a play. And so it was. We chose a director whose work I really admired, and we started auditioning. We cast almost every role. We even found a lovely Gaya, but we were still auditioning for Shachar, for the lover, you know, the young lover. In our last auditioning day, a young actor entered the room, and the director asked me to join him and act a scene between Gaya and Shachar, you know, just to help him. So I did, and the actor was very good. After he left, the director and the theater manager turned to me and said, you know, Shagit, you have to be Gaya. At first I objected. I thought it was too close, and I thought it would be too difficult for me. But finally, I gave in, and I did Gaya in the play as well. I also remember how the marketing manager of the theater was very worried. He was worried that no school will buy such a play with such a heavy subject. And no matter how I tried to convince him that it was not a heavy show, that sometimes it's even funny, it's inspiring and moving, but he couldn't see through it. And finally, it was proven to be a hit, luckily. The rumor about the show spread among schools all over the country, and we had hundreds of shows during 4 seasons. In Israel, it considers a lot. and we could do more. We could do more and more, but I felt I had enough, and I asked to hold it. 15 years later, it was like, I think, 4 years ago, there was a second production in a different theater, and I was less involved there. And I have to be honest, I didn't like it so much. You know, I'm not such a meticulous person in my private life. I have no problem going to sleep even if there are some dishes left in the sink, and I don't have to dress up according to the latest fashion trend. But when it comes to my writing, to my art, I really want it to be exactly as I see it. And in that case, well, I didn't like the interpretation of the director. It was a cute show, but I knew it could be much more than just cute. He emphasized the plot line, and he almost neglected the depth, the emotion, and the spirit that exists in the book, and were outstanding in the first production. And maybe I'll try to share to you, and I'll show you something, some pictures from, can you see it? Yeah, you can see the screen. Yeah. This is the cover of the book in the first edition. And okay, this is me, young and pretty, with the Shachar. This is me as Gaya, of course, and Shachar, the other actors made like double role. So Shachar was Shachar and also the doctor. He played also the doctor. This is the final scene. It's not a quality. The quality of the pictures is not so good, but you can see I was lighter back then. The final scene. This is me as Gaya with a wig. Okay, this is a, and oh, okay. This is the cover of the book after they printed it as part of a series called the Israeli Classic. So this is the new cover. Okay, and this is the second production. The one with the long hair is Gaya, and these are her friends. They're cute. They were really cute. So that's it. That's about the theater productions of the book.
Thank you. As we've just seen, the book has been published twice. Yes. Once more than 20 years ago, and the other one is part of the series called Israeli Classics.
Right.
Do you think teens might have a problem identifying with characters who lived in an age where there were no mobile phones or social networks? Don't teens look for characters to identify with who are more like them in terms of lifestyle?
Well, look at you, Yuval. I think that we should give teenagers more credit. Of course, teenagers are looking for characters they can identify with, but I think they always want to identify in a deep level, not necessarily with superficial anecdotes of lifestyle or where you live. Sometimes it's even the opposite. Sometimes it's the character that seems so different from me, that lives elsewhere, that has different life habits and different problems, when it's a little more remote, that I can really identify more easily. If it's a good story, of course, you know, this is the basic. If it's interesting, if it's create tension, we can really get into it and identify with it very deeply. As I told you, Yuval, before, just like you, I was reading a lot, and I read everything, you know, literature, classic literature, books that were appropriate for my age, and also books that I found in my parents' library, local and international literature. And at the end of the day, when I think, who are the characters that really stuck with me and became mentors in my life, they weren't the ones that were superficially on the surface similar to me in place of living or habits or hobbies. You know, there were characters that I identify very deeply, that touched my heart, that made me optimistic and inspired me. You know, I've never been to Prince Edward Island, but Anne Shirley was a true friend of mine, and throughout my adolescence, and I've never suffered from hunger and never lived in an orphanage or monastery, but there were quite a few characters that taught me something important about myself and about the world. I've never lived alone in a big house with a horse and a monkey, but Fifi made me laugh and moved me like nobody in real life did. And it's happening all the time, you know. No kid I know goes to Hogwarts and studies to be a magician and fights with Voldemort, but Harry Potter helped many kids to fight their own demons. And, you know, the list goes on. At the end of the day, it's not the time or the place or even the topic of the book. At the end of the day, it's always the question how. How is the book written? How much it feels real to me? And I know for many teens, Gaya is a forever friend.
You're right.
Okay.
When I was first reading the book, I was in 7th grade, and there was a girl in my class that was also dealing with cancer. I got to see her difficulties up close, and so I wanted to ask, what was the hardest thing for you as a sick child? And did you write about it in the book as well?
Okay. There were of course the physical difficulties, the treatments, the loss of hair, the wig. But the biggest hardship for me was to feel different constantly. I remember one event that does not actually appear in the book, but I'll tell you about it. It was very important for me to live those 2 weeks that were the break between 2 treatments, to behave and act as normal as possible, to be a normal child who comes to school, hangs out with friends, and does not show any signs of sickness. And one day, my mom asked me to go to the grocery to fetch something. And I did as she wished. The minute I entered the shop, I immediately felt how all people there were staring at me. There weren't many of them, but I saw them stealing sights at me, whispering, and I knew they were all talking about me. When I paid at the cashier, he was handing me the change with a lollipop. And he said something like, take this, honey, or have a sweet day, or whatever, something like that. I remember coming out of the store and crying my heart out. It was weird because nobody was rude to me, but I cried because I felt that cancer is escorting me everywhere. I felt that it was hiding who I really was, that people see just this and react to it. And I so much wanted to be who I am. Gaya, too, she wants to be regular. She wants to be normal, like everybody else. She doesn't want the cancer to hide who she really is. She wants to go to the yearly field trip with her class. She wants to, the boy whom she's so much in love with will notice her, although deep in her heart, she does not believe he might fall in love with her, you know, with the wig and all. She's not that child that yields. She does not give up. On the contrary, she even expands her boundaries and her strength, just not to let the sickness and its challenges defeat her.
Thank you. The first time I saw you was when you came to my school in a gathering called To Meet a Writer. I know that over the years you must have been to hundreds of such get-togethers. Can you share a little about what happens when you meet with students? What do they ask? What interests them?
Okay. First thing they ask is if I married Shachar. And I always say no, but I married somebody even cuter. But yes, I'll answer you seriously. During the years, I did hundreds of gatherings like that, mostly with 7th and 8th graders, but also 5th and 6th graders. In some of the schools, they actually read it out loud in literature lessons, and in other schools, it just appears on the recommended reading list. I really love meeting with students. There are many schools I come back to year after year, you know. Sometimes I don't feel so comfortable with the teachers hearing me again and again. However, meeting with a young student is always very exciting for me. In many ways, I found that the children get the essence of the story even better than adults. They are less threatened by cancer. They approach the story in a more direct and pure manner, without the load of hard experiences and preconceptions that we adults carry. The first thing they want to know is what in the story really happened, okay? And what I invented. They respond to the things that happen in the story. They relate to their own experience and the way they deal with stuff. In the meeting, I always read out loud a part in the story which evokes conversation about social issues. I would like Yuval, maybe you could read it for us, but first I would like somebody's just, okay, just that you all be muted. Okay, before you read this part, this section for us, I will tell you what happened before in the story, okay? Because this caption happens a bit later in the story. At that stage, Gaya has already been sick for quite a few months. Everybody knows she's sick. Everybody knows she's wearing a wig. Nobody's have ever seen her without it, but everybody knows it's a wig. But in the breaks between the treatments, when she feels well enough, it is really important for her to attend school. On that specific morning, Gaya arrives to school. Her girlfriends see her by the gate. They run towards her and happily inform her that the teacher is not coming today and they have a free hour. Naturally, Gaya is really happy about it. And she's even happier when she finds out that the 7th graders from the other class, where Shachar, the boy that she has a crush on, okay, they also have a free hour. The students that she understands that for the whole hour now, the 7th graders from both classes will spend time together. She secretly wishes maybe finally it will be a chance for Shachar talking to her, maybe something exciting might happen. So all the 7th graders enter one of the classrooms, and it becomes really noisy and messy. I'd like you, Yuval, to read this part, okay?
Okay, I will. Nimrod Tukman, who was in an especially silly mood, grabbed my sandwich and started running around with it, screaming, "If you want it, come get it." I started screaming back, "Give me back my sandwich, you nutcase." From the corner of my eye, I could see Shachar looking at me. Then I started running after Nimrod, slaloming my way around all the other kids to try and catch him. I started laughing like crazy, and I saw Nat and Shachar were watching and laughing as well. Then Nimrod climbed on one of the desks, waving my sandwich like a flag, and the cheese nearly dripped out of it. Before he caught sight of me, I came from behind the desk, leaped into the air, and snatched my sandwich back. Shachar and Anat were clapping, and Asaf Ravina was shouting, "Good for you, Gaya, show him who's boss." After the sandwich was back in my hand, I started running because I saw Nimrod coming after me. I nearly bumped into the wastebasket, then into Erez. Then I turned my head and saw that Nimrod was really close, reaching his hand out to grab my shirt. The whole classroom was shouting and screaming and laughing, and then I felt the wig being torn right off of my head. Total silence. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't breathe. I stood there, nailed to the spot, before I curled up onto the floor in the fetal position, covering my naked head with my hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, usually I read that part in Hebrew, so it was very refreshing to hear that in English. After I finished reading this chapter, the students always ask me the same question. Can you have any idea what do they ask? No, they ask if it really happened to me, this event, and I say yes, it happened. But then we start a discussion about how they would react to something similar happening in their class. We talk about all kinds of reactions, about the shock, the helping, about giggling, and we try to make a distinguish between laughter out of embarrassment or mocking, which is something really different. I ask them to relate Gaia's cancer as a metaphor and think about their own difficulties. That's it, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sagit. And now if anyone in the audience is interested in asking something, please do so.
Don't be embarrassed. I can answer anything. About the book, about me. So you don't have to, because okay. Shy audience. Shy people. Okay. Sigalit,
So, yeah, so thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Shagit. Thank you, Yuval, for your time. We hope you enjoy. It was very, very interesting. And good evening to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Yuval. Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.